Hey everybody, this is Javi, and you are watching the Inner Child Collective, where you and your inner child heal for the better. Welcome and hello. So this is going to be yet another inner child archetype reading. Only it's going to be a little bit different. This is actually a weekly reading where you get to find out what your archetypes are saying to you, what messages that you have, and then all of a sudden we're going to be hit with um, the word of encouragement at the end. So if you are a fan of this channel or would like to be a fan of this channel, just subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and so you'll never miss another reading or another podcast episode, whatever you're into. Also, let people know that I'm here. Click that like button and let people know that I'm here. The more people know, the better, because I love talking about the inner child and how to empower the inner child. So this week, we're going to be focusing on, what words of wisdom do we have for the week of August 31st, 2020. And so we have a lot of cards here in regards to the weekly words of wisdom. So first we have the storyteller. So a lot of us, what I'm getting is that a lot of us are powerful storytellers. A lot of us have stories in our minds, that we have created. A lot of them are fictional, and I'll explain this in a minute. What I have received from Spirit is that a lot of us are powerful with our words and powerful with our imagination. And when we were children, we were very active, with our imagination. We came up with stories. We came up with dialogues. Some of us actually spoke to spirits. You know what I mean? So a lot of us have stories to tell. So if you were a fan of literature or fan of storytelling, in regards to like seeing your story being woven, that's what you were into. At the same time, though, a lot of us have gone through trauma, and a lot of us have been listening to a lot of those stories, in our mind about ourselves that were very false. So we have the tendency to store a lot of information about about ourselves, in regards to how we feel about ourselves, because a lot of those attacks were very much interpersonal in nature. We also have the tendency to be so knee deep in our trauma that what ends up happening as a child, we end up growing up, into adults, thinking and reenacting our trauma. And so everything that we do, everything that we feel, how we feel about ourselves, we feel like it's a personal attack if someone is reenacting our abuse in some way, shape, or form. We feel as if someone is reenacting the abuse. So we keep playing the story over and over again, to basically put ourselves, place ourselves in the role of a victim. So we are to be careful with this, right? So this is what the storyteller card says, in that we are to be careful about the stories we tell ourselves, because what ends up happening is that we end up telling ourselves a lot of falsehood. We end up putting ourselves in a position to believe in a lot of the falsehood that we that has been given to us as children. So we are to be aware of that. Also, I have the advocate. We also have the advocate here. And the advocate is someone who is always fighting for the cause, fighting for the better man, fighting for the underdog. And we advocate. We use our words to advocate. What ends up happening, though, is that we get caught up in our own ego, or we get caught up in the story of someone else. And we end up seeing ourselves as a hero and a martyr when it's not necessary. And so we are to be aware of how we are talking to people, and how we are to be careful with our thoughts, because when we put our thoughts into action, it's out there. That's what people remember. And if you remember being remembered as someone who is using their power to cause a lot more discord than necessary, that's what people are going to remember. And that's something you're going to have to heal from when you're hurting someone else. Because the last thing you want to do is be someone's trauma story. We also have the victim here. Not the victim, but the virgin. Sorry. So the virgin says you're maintaining your symbolic purity of heart and spirit. What I'm on the shadow is a fear of intimate union. What I'm getting is that a lot of you are still, you mean well. You want to love, you want love and purity, you want reciprocity, not just want it, but you deserve it. You deserve love, you deserve reciprocity, you deserve everything that is so good in this world, but you also fear your own intimacy. You also your or you feel that into or let's say vulnerability rather. You feel your own expression of intimacy. You fear getting involved with someone only to have them break your heart. I'm just getting that you crave vulnerability. You crave a union. You would love to be with someone who loves you for who you are, and you deserve that. I know that's one of my fears, to be honest with you. Like, I personally would love to live with someone and be with someone who loves me for who I am, and spirit has told me that that will happen, but I am to be vulnerable, just like you're being called to be vulnerable. We have been told that we were unlovable for so long, and we have been taught that people were very untrustworthy. And so what ends up happening is that you are afraid of trusting someone with your heart because it's been broken so many times. I'm also getting that because of some sort of sexual agency, maybe you've been, or lack of thereof, you have been sexually abused or molested as a child or raped as a child. So you have reenacted that abuse, or you have reenacted a lot of, you know, uh, uh, you reenacted a lot of what happened to you through maybe promiscuity or some sort of um, promiscuity or some sort of sex addiction. So what ends up happening is that you end up being afraid of, you know, and of having it happen to you again, especially if you realize, what the problem was and where all that came from. And so what is happening is that you are being told to recreate your sexual agency. Take it back, take that power back in regards to your sexual agency. Take that back by saying that you have the benefit. You're telling yourself that um, you have to tell yourself it came out in so many ways that you have the power to determine what type of love life you are wishing to have, what type of intimacy you're meaning to have, and what type of love that you would like to see for yourself. I'm just seeing a lot of people wanting to fall in love, having the, you know, having that desire, and I'm also getting to love yourself. It starts with self-love anyway, but there are folks who may not want to be in a relationship but just want to love themselves. So you are to have a union with yourself, union with yourself, loving your own body, loving your sensuality, loving your own sexual expression, and acting as if by pretty much decolonizing. It all starts with the mind, decolonizing your mind, and basically start examining the thoughts around love and intimacy and the negative messages you have received from about those things, and see what you come up with, because more likely than not, the fear of intimacy stems from the unconscious thoughts around sexual agency, and also it stems from trauma. More than likely, somebody or something has made you ashamed of being sexual, and being ashamed and guilty about maybe like a past relationship that you had no business being in, but was because of your trauma. So I'm getting a lot of past energy around, your love life, and you're being asked to let go of that, maybe through maybe like a candle ritual where, that promotes self-love, or you manifesting the person you would like to have in your life, someone who would add to your life, not someone that is going to take from it. And then you have the detective here. The detective is a person who is very observant, very wise, very careful with the information they put out there, because they are the ones who are always like using that information to observe, to determine whether or not a person is safe. The detective, a lot of us as adults and as children use your intuition. You followed your gut. You're more likely to follow your gut um, as a child, because I'm just feeling like a lot of you as children, thank you, a lot of you as children follows your gut or had gut instincts, and only to have someone tell you that you don't know what you're talking about. So a lot of people, have lost their ability to be observant at times, or if they are observant or using their intuition, they're using it to be safe to a fault. And so a lot of us are using your intuition in ways as a means to protect you to a fault. And so, even though that it is, I'm just getting that it's okay for you to use your intuition. In fact, it's highly recommended that you use your intuition. Also, be careful about how you use it. Are you using it to self-sabotage? Are you using it to hurt other people? Are you using it to determine whether or not somebody is safe, or to have, or do you have self-doubt around your intuition? Also, you are to be aware of how your intuition works for you and what it feels like. Are you using your intuition um, to protect yourself from harm's way in a genuine manner, or like actual harm is what I mean? Or are you using it to determine whether or not people who care about you can be trusted? Are you using it to stay away from people? Are you using what you consider intuition um, to stay away from people, when in actuality it can be your own anxiety, you know what I mean, around people, places, and situations? So I know on the on the shadow card here, if you can see it, it says, voyeurism, falsifying information. Basically, what that means is you using your intuition to tap into someone else's energy without their permission, and that's a violation, if not like voyeurism, right? Or you being in someone's business, or to avoid your own trauma, and to avoid the message you have in your life, right? It's like, if you're going to use your intuition, make sure you're using it in a way that is of love and light, and not to be a bully, or to be, um, or to be someone who is going to cause more harm than not. Understand your intuition. Understand your intuition, so you can determine or differentiate your intuition from your anxiety. Because a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm following my intuition, I'm following my intuition, when in actuality, that's anxiety. That because when you have intuition, there's no fear involved in it. There's like that warm spirit, and you hear that voice that says, something's not right, let me back away from it. There isn't this element of fear, like intensity, that is involved with it. So if that's the case, then that's anxiety that you're dealing with, and that's something that is a sign that is something that you are to explore. And the last card you got for the weekly words of wisdom here is the Thunder card. Basically, what this is saying is that follow your strength, follow your power, follow your intuition, and please know that you have the power to make things right. Not just right, but you have the agency to use your stories and use your intuition rather, to create this world, for yourself. This is a time to step into your power, to step into your agency. This is a time for you to use your abilities to be a storyteller, an advocate, to tell the story and to advocate for other people, so that other people can learn from you, right? The virgin and the detective archetypes, please do not allow your anxiety, okay, to take away from anything that pertains to you wanting to be in love, um, wanting to be in love. See yourself as lovable, see yourself as loving. This is a time for you to be vulnerable. That's why you're being asked by spirit to determine whether or not it's your intuition that's telling you to stay away from someone, or your anxiety. Okay, because there's a huge difference between one and the other. Okay, your intuition isn't, at least for me anyway, your intuition isn't loud. It isn't loud. There is no element of fear. Your intuition is very soft. It's very warm. Has that warm feeling, and it's basically you. The spirit is speaking to you, right? If you're having panic attacks while you're like having, while you're facing something, and it's in your gut, that's not your intuition. That's anxiety. There's something about what you're facing that is that's scaring you. Therefore, you have to face it. And the Thunder card is basically saying like, get out of your own way, so you can be the person that you are meant to be. Okay. I'm getting get rid of your hoocha. And hoocha is your that negative energy, that dark energy, um, the hangups. You know what I mean? Anything that is keeping you from your any emotion or feeling that is keeping you from yourself or whatever, bad, not even bad, but basically anything that is holding you back. That is the hoocha, right? And so I'm just getting get rid of the hoocha. Get rid of the hoocha. Anything that is keeping you from elevating the negative energy, the energy that keeps telling you that you're not capable, that you're not good enough, that keeps you from being your higher self. The Thunder card is basically saying to learn to do everything you can to face your shadows, to face your shadows, whatever, however that looks like, to face your shadows so that you can be the best you. Okay. So that is all I have for you today for this week. Thank you so much for listening to the weekly words of wisdom. If you enjoyed this video in any way, shape, or form, by all means, click that subscribe button so you will never miss another video. Also, you can like the button, click the like button, let people know that I'm here, because the more people know about me and my work with the inner child, the better, because I really am here to help people heal, and you help me heal, as well. Also, if you are on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, I'm always on Instagram. I'm always on those platforms, especially Instagram. You can follow me in the descriptions of everything. They're in the description, links and everything. And if you would like to have a more in-depth reading, a private reading, you can book a reading with me by clicking on the link that says calendarly.com or whatnot, and that's where you will see all of the services that I provide. So thank you again for everything. I really appreciate it. Until next time, peace.